Today we're going to be talking about surviving in the new modern digital age as a musician, more specifically as a music artist. So put on the hot pot and get some tea brewing, because it's time to get cooking.
Can I have some more tea?
Here at the ReImagine Entertainment podcast, I want to do everything I can to help aspiring artists to be able to rise up, challenge themselves, and never give up. The biggest thing that you have to bring to the table is you. Skill, talent, all of that's important, but it can be learned. You just have to say yes and dream bigger. But anyways, I want to talk today about the significance and impact that digital technology has made on the music industry at large, as well as encourage all you musicians out there that are just trying to make it. If you guys haven't noticed, today we have a plethora of tools available to us in which to make music. We can even make music on our smartphones. You don't have to go out and hire a bunch of musicians to do stuff. I mean, you can, and it would sound awesome, but you can get sounds right from your computer and right from your pocket. We can connect with and collaborate with songwriters, producers, engineers that we would have never been able to connect with before, all because of the rise of technology. I mean, even sound quality has changed. We've also seen the increase of copyright issues. And with all of the voices out there, it's easy to get lost. I know it's really hard when you put out a song and you're just trying to get people to listen to it. And it's because we live in a world with so much more music to listen to than we have time to listen to it. We're also going to talk about opportunities, the creative freedom that's brought by all of this, and how you as an artist can continue to make it. All right, I'm Josiah Wright. This is ReImagine Entertainment. Let's go! Tea break. It burns like lava, but it tastes so good. One of the things that we've seen change in the past few decades has been the rise of what's called DAWs or DAWs, which stands for Digital Audio Workstation. And this is a place where we can record, edit, mix, and create our songs. It's the primary way that modern artists record at home. Now, before all of that, everything was recorded on tape. And before that, everything was recorded on vinyl. And it wasn't until the late 90s, if I remember right, I'm pretty sure it was Livin' La Vida Loca was the first song to be completely recorded in Pro Tools, which is a DAW. Thank you, Ricky Martin. And ever since then, things have changed dramatically with the rising of personal home computing and digital recording consoles becoming more popular over the years. We finally had a crossover where people could start recording at home, where independent studios could actually afford the equipment necessary to record. And I remember back in the 2000s, there were a ton of indie record labels. Any of my emo friends out there will remember, not that I'm emo, but I like the music, guys. And here we are today where people can literally record music on their phones. Well, at least a decent demo. Now, working in a DAW is super simple. There's a learning curve, but it's way simpler than the yesteryears of trying to record on tape or vinyl. Back when we were working with vinyl, everything had to be recorded in one take, pretty much. All of the musicians got into a room, and everybody had to do everything perfectly. When things transitioned to tape, we had a little more flexibility, but everything had to be painstakingly cut on physical tape and taped back together. And there's a whole lot more to that. I'm not a tape engineer, but here we are today with the wonderful world of DAW, where we can have effects, quick tools right at our fingertips. Some of the most popular DAWs out there are Pro Tools, Studio One, and a free offering, Reaper, well, kind of free. And these are amazing places in which to create music. And I'll tell you something, I grew more when I started recording myself than ever before inside of my artistic journey. Being able to hear your voice, as much as you might not like it, being able to hear you play your instrument, as easy as it is to nitpick, is key for you to improve. So if you haven't downloaded a DAW to record yourself, I want to encourage you to do it. Even if the recording sounds bad, it's important to use the tools that you have in order to grow as an artist. Even if that means downloading Audacity or Reaper, one of the free ones. Let's talk about some other digital music tools that are available to us today. Virtual instruments and sample libraries. Oh my gosh, like what did we do before this? I remember you had to sit down and you had to record each part out. And if you didn't have an instrument that you wanted to use, you either had to hire someone, you had to go buy that sound yourself or that instrument yourself. And it was a big pain in the keister. I don't say keister. Why did I say keister? But man, all of these sounds that are available to us today, it's amazing. If you want to have a tabla sound, you just jump over, you grab a tabla sound. If you want to have this specific kick sound, you go grab that specific kick sound. If you want to have a guitar riff, you go and get that guitar riff. Or you get a guitar virtual instrument that you can use, and it's going to sound pretty okay, depending on the sound that you're going for. Never before have we had such flexibility in music with virtual sound. Some of the benefits to being able to do virtual instruments inside of your music production is we don't all live inside of recording studios. And so trying to get that optimal sound is so hard to do at home. But when you're using a virtual instrument, you can get a clean sound that has already been produced and made to sound awesome. It's like when I'm making my records and stuff, I use a virtual bass. Could I play a regular bass? Of course I could. But I don't have a recording studio in my house. Well, at least not yet. And so I can't get that awesome, amazing sound that I'm going for. And so doing it on a keyboard in my computer can give me some of the best sounds that I'm able to get right now. But once again, it depends on the style of music. Some of the notable virtual musical instruments and libraries that I've seen around, and I'm sure that you guys, if you've been around the block a few times, have heard of these before. Kontakt. Kontakt is a virtual instrument that you can use to make almost any kind of sound because it's built to be able to put in all sorts of different kind of instrument packs so that you can actually have an orchestral sound, a bass sound, synth sounds, guitar sounds, and you can buy all these sample packs and libraries that port into Kontakt. It's amazing. It's a little pricey, but it's amazing. Another tool out there that I haven't personally used, but I've heard a lot of the sounds, is Arturia Lab. And they specialize on all kinds of synths, past and present. And the sounds that this instrument makes are amazing. Looking for a good Juno sound? Arturia Lab's got it. Looking for that classic Prophet sound? Arturia Lab's got it. And then another one that's out there, and this is actually a free option, and they are making some stellar sounds, albeit sometimes a little unique. Just look up Labs, all uppercase Labs. They've got some awesome piano sounds. I think they recently just released a bagpipe instrument. And the cool thing about this is it's all free. All these sounds are free. Never before have we ever been able to have all of these sound tools in one place. It is a never-ending source of inspiration. And so if you're feeling uninspired, go listen to some of the amazing sounds that are out there. Download one of the free ones that I've listed and just go mess around with it. You're going to come up with ideas. Okay, so another way that technology has changed the way that we do production is remote collaboration and cloud-based production. As I said earlier, never before have we been able to connect with different creatives from all over the world. Producers, engineers, other songwriters. This is only a now thing, really. Before, you had to be in the know. Now we have the opportunity to connect with so many people if we're just willing, we have our eyes open. This has greatly changed the way that we connect, the way that we create. Before, you had to know somebody. Before, you had to know the guy of a guy. And there is still a little bit of that, but it's not nearly what it used to be. You can find great engineers, you can find great producers with just the click of a few buttons. Now, the hard part is knowing who is going to be quality and give you quality help. And that's where community comes into play. And just so you guys know, coming up soon, I'm going to be opening up a Facebook group for the ReImagine Entertainment podcast community. It's going to be totally free to join. And my hope is that we can build a community that will help each other, help answer questions, offer resources, that we can support one another. And I want to be right there with y'all. I want to help support you guys, give you tools that can help you in your process. But yeah, keep an eye out for that. I'll let you guys know really soon whenever that opens up. But we got to be connected, y'all. That's the only way that we can succeed and really move forward. And listen, guys, I was a part of a community for over a year. I still am connected to a lot of those folks, songwriters from all over the world. And it's been amazing seeing how all of us in the group have done collaborations and connected with each other and written stuff together. And it's created a lot of momentum. And so it's so important for us to be connected to other artists, be collaborating with them. Yeah, and then cloud-based production. I don't know if you guys have seen services like Splice, or we've already talked about like Arturia Labs. These are cloud-based production tools that don't exist locally on your computer. You have to pay for a subscription to access them. Now, the benefit here is you get access to a vast library of resources that allows you to get the sounds that you need that sound great easily right at your fingertips. The downside is, just like we all know with every subscription, you have to pay for it every month. And it's expensive. But the benefits are you get access to high quality stuff right at your fingertips. You don't have to search for it. It's right there. All of this technology has changed the way that we do production. And it's important for us to kind of keep an eye out and see what tools are available to us. And if you're not using any of these tools, you should totally get on it because it can inspire you and help you to move forward inside of your songwriting. So let's talk a little bit about some challenges that are actually happening inside of this digital musical age. As I was just saying, we should keep an eye on some of the technologies that are coming out and everything. But let me be honest. It can be a little overwhelming. All of the tools, trying to keep up with everybody. The music industry is not slowing down by any means. And with all of the voices out there, we have to work so much harder to get our voice heard. But that's just part of the job of an independent artist. Not only is it hard for us to not get overwhelmed, the people that are out there looking at all of these artists are getting overwhelmed. And so standing out can be really, really difficult. And that's where you come into play. Creating great music and using all these digital tools is awesome, and it's important to make your sound shine and stand out, but it's also important for you to stand out as well. One of the most important digital tools that we have available to us is social media. And I'm going to be totally honest, it is hard and challenging to keep up on social media, to get your presence out there, to let people know who you are, but it is so important. This is like a free way for you to connect with your audience, with your community. And so I want to challenge you. You're not just an artist. You are a person to your audience. You are a person to your community. And so you have to show them that you care about them. You have to show them that you're invested in them. It's really important, but it's hard. Another challenge with all of these tools and doing stuff at home and recording in your bedroom or recording in your office or whatever is trying to learn how to use all of these tools. It can be overwhelming. Learning how to EQ things, learning how to gain stage everything, learning how to mix, learning how to master. And I would encourage you guys, or at least most of you, this is not everyone's bag, okay? And let me just tell you, someone who is a proper mixing engineer or mastering engineer or producer, they have been focusing on developing that craft. And they're going to be able to get a better result than you are going to be able to get in the short term, or perhaps in the long term as well. And it's really important for us to be honest with ourselves, what we can do and what we can't do, or what we should do and what we shouldn't do. If you're going to do certain things on your own, it's important to identify what things you can do well enough and what you should outsource to others. Because when it comes down to it, this is your music. This is what you're presenting to the world, and you want to do a great job. You want it to sound awesome. And really, do you want to spend all of your time and energy focusing on things that maybe you shouldn't? And the hard part is, this all costs a lot of money. And so let me tell you, one way or another, when you're going into independent music and you're using all of these digital tools, it's going to take some kind of an investment. You are going to sacrifice a lot in order to make this music, one way or another. And talk about rising to the top. People want to listen to well-recorded, well-made music. They want to hear music that is authentic, that speaks to them where they're at. And so it's really important for us to put the work in. I know it's challenging, but with all of these digital tools, you still have to write good, authentic, real music. And so listen, there are some things that you can learn how to do. If you can get a decent microphone at your home, if you can set up some sound absorption in your room to where it sounds pretty clean, and you can learn how to properly record at levels that aren't going to sound like they're clipping or they're bad or they're not too quiet, then you can maybe do some recording at home. You can do some songwriting in your house. But I warn you, if you're not going to do it right, then you should probably do it another way. Okay, so let's talk about copyright and intellectual property issues. More now than ever, copyright is an issue. Artists have to know how important it is to cross your T's and dot your I's when you're making music. Now, thankfully, there are a lot of services out there that make it easier for us to deal with copyright issues. Whether that's working through somebody like DistroKid, or if you're putting music on YouTube, they take care of a lot of the licensing issues. But we live in a time where there are more and more and more copyright cases happening inside of courtrooms. Just recently, there was an Ed Sheeran case that happened, and he said that if he lost the case, he was quitting music because he was just basically being sued for using a chord progression with a similar feel to another song. Stupid. But with the growing impact of AI and people being able to search and scour the entire internet using AI tools that can recognize bits of songs, it's going to be happening more and more and more and more because people are greedy and they want to have money. Now listen, I think copyright is super important. It is good and important to pay the owners of intellectual properties for their property. And I think there should be some protections on how that intellectual property is being used. However, I think it can be a little extreme sometimes as well. But I'm not a judge. I'm not a lawmaker. And ultimately, that is something to be decided by the courts. But it's so important for us to make sure that we document our song making process. Now, if you're creating a lot of your stuff on a computer or on a digital space, you should have timestamps on when our things are saved and all of that. And that's very helpful in court. But if you want to go the extra mile, if you want to have that extra piece of documentation that's going to make it for sure that you have your song copywritten and have all of the documents that will corroborate that, then if you're in America, you need to go to copyright.gov. You need to go through the process of copywriting your songs. It's kind of like having insurance where you probably don't need it all the time, but it's good to have. And for those of you that don't know, from the moment that you make a song, that you write it and you put it on some form of media, it is copywritten. As soon as you create it, as soon as you play it, as soon as you write it, it is copywritten in the United States of America. I don't know about other places. I'm not a lawyer, so don't take my legal advice. But it is important to have safeguards in place where you can prove when you wrote a song. Okay, so let's talk about some of the amazing opportunities in this digital world of production that we have today. As I already kind of touched on a little bit earlier, we have access to a global audience through distribution platforms. See, the way that it was before was you had to know somebody who had a lot of connections, a company that had a lot of connections, and they would reach out to their connections and they would give them the hard copy of the music to put out in front of people. And then they would advertise it and they would put it on radio. And this is how you had to distribute things in the past. But now we can do all of that in our pocket. We can do it on our smartphone. The difference is it's not a whole huge team of people doing this. It's you. And actually, this is kind of the preferred way to do it because people want to know you as the artist. But we're able to connect with millions of people if we're willing to do the work and really put ourselves out there and be interesting and engaging and give value to people. And you don't have to go to some large company anymore that's only letting in a select few artists to be able to get your music out to places. Listen, number one, DistroKid. From what I understand, I think this is still the case, DistroKid is actually owned partially by Spotify. Spotify is one of the leading streaming platforms in the world. And so they're actually able to integrate in ways that other platforms don't. At least that's what I understand. And so it is as easy as paying a yearly fee to have access to DistroKid to be able to upload your song and put it out there like any major artist that's in the world right now. Now, a lot of these artists are paying for extra push so that their music is in front of more people, and you don't have that leg up. But they have to do something too. Most large artists right now are having to get on their own social media accounts if they want to be in front of younger audiences, and they have to put themselves out there just like you and I do. People want to connect with the artists that they listen to and be creative with it. I remember when I was in middle school, one of my favorite bands was David Crowder Band. They're a Christian worship group, but they used to do YouTube videos that were just silly, weird, and off the wall. And they even did some videos that were kind of like behind the scenes when they were in the studio, and I loved it. Talk about a way to connect with your audience. Do creative things to engage people with you. Make a YouTube TV show surrounding around your music. Do some funny sketches and stuff that really engage people with you as a band or you as a person, as an artist, so that they want to listen to your music. And another thing that really got me was I remember emailing them one time back in the day, and one of the guys actually got back to me. And that was so cool to me. And so when you have people that are reaching out to you through comments or whatever, take time to answer the comments. At least the best that you can. I understand that it can get overwhelming sometimes, but these are people that care about what you're doing and they care about what you're making and they've been impacted by you. So it's important for us to be able to respond to them and show them that we care the best we can. I understand if you can't get to every comment, just a general rule. Okay, and another thing that we've kind of already talked about, but with all of these digital tools that we have available to us, there is so much more creative expression that can happen. If you're like, man, I've got this sound in my head of what I want this to sound like, it's just a matter of finding the right tools online, downloading them on your computer, and then making them sound the way that you want them to sound. And this is going to get even easier with the advent of AI music tools. And I've heard from some of you guys, I saw that some of you were commenting on me showing you how to use some of these AI tools inside of a music production process. And I totally want to do that, but I want to do it the right way. I want to take some concentrated time to really show you guys how to do that. And so coming soon, I want to do a free webinar where I can actually get you guys in the room with me and I can show you some of my songwriting techniques, whether that's using some AI tools and kind of going into depth with some of those, or just talking about mindset, unlocking yourself creatively so that you can overcome writer's block. Now, if that sounds like something you want to do, comment I want it down below. So keep an eye out. I'll be announcing when we're going to do that free webinar. And you guys can actually be there watching me do it live. And I'll also be doing a VIP Q&A session with that as well, where you guys can actually ask me questions and I'll answer them for you. So keep an eye out for more of that later. But like I said, if you want that, write I want it down below in the comments. Okay, and so one last thing. Music artists don't actually make a lot of money off of their music. You got to be rolling in the millions and millions of plays if you want to make anything substantial. And so most artists actually rely on the diversification of their revenue streams. Merch, physical versions of their music. Listen, guys, this is something that people have been doing for a long time. And it used to take a lot of money up front to get this going. I know my dad has been in a band for decades, and they used to have to spend so much money to get CDs printed and t-shirts printed and all of the stuff. But now we have tools at our fingertips that make it as easy as setting it up, and then when people want to buy it, they can buy it. And you don't have to front any money. Guys, there are so many tools out there. Teespring, Printful, Printify, Shopify. The list goes on and on. Guys, if you're not taking advantage of creating some of these merch items, I want to encourage you to do it. Number one, your audience loves to be able to have physical items that represent the music that they love to listen to. Number two, this can be a revenue stream for you, especially if you're making high quality stuff that people want. And that is only going to resource you so you can make more music in the future. Guys, if you want to just get stuck being inside of a small little bubble with your music, don't do anything. But if you want to see your music get out there, then you've got to use all of these digital tools. You've got to be able to put yourself out there. Okay, so let's kind of bring this all together, okay? The technology that we have available to us has changed everything in the music landscape over the last 15 to 20 years. You have full creative freedom over your music. You can connect with people that can help you to make better music. And yeah, it's challenging and difficult and hard, but if this is what you want to do, then you got to go all in. And listen, guys, if you have small thinking, If you're like, man, I hope I can just get like 100 streams, or I don't know how comfortable I feel asking people to give me their money. You got to get over that. Listen, if you're providing entertainment and quality music and quality merchandise that people love, you are helping make their life better. Especially if the message of your music is actually making their life better. But guys, we got to use all these tools. If you are serious about this, if you're serious about making music, you've got to use all of the tools at your disposal. You've got to learn how to use them. And really, with how easy everything's got, there's not really any excuse. And if you don't want to learn how to use all these things, then you need to find people that can help do that for you. And there's no reason that you can't, because you can get access to high quality individuals in every area of the industry. If you need a graphic designer, you can go find one online. Don't go to Fiverr unless you want to get gypped. If you need a recording engineer, you can go find one. I'm sure there's one in your local area that you can find, a studio or something. If you need a mixing engineer, there are gobs of them available online. Don't go for the cheap ones. You're going to get what you pay for. Mastering engineers, you can find a million mastering engineers online that do a great job. Once again, make sure that they're high quality. Otherwise, you are going to lose money. But just to wrap all of this up, guys, never before has there been this much opportunity for independent artists that are willing to do the work and engage with their community online and use all of the digital tools at their disposal to be able to leverage themselves to get their music out there to lots of people. And guys, this is only part of this. It's also so important to reach out to your local community, but that's a whole nother topic for another day. And so I want to encourage you guys, if you have not touched any of these digital tools yet, or if you have more questions on anything, put it down in the comments. And if you haven't used any of this stuff, get out there and use it. This could be the spice in your music life that you need in order to keep writing good music. But anyways, guys, this has been ReImagine Entertainment with Josiah Wright. Once again, if you guys are interested in that free webinar that I'm going to do, comment, I want it, down below. And if you guys want to get into a community of people that are like-minded, then keep an eye out for the free Facebook group that we're going to be doing for ReImagine Entertainment Podcast. This has been Josiah Wright. Keep creating, guys.